I've got so many war stories. Let me start at ground zero with me. When I was a young boy, my mom raised me as a Christian and taught me how to pray and seek after the Lord. I was probably 14 years old, and I decided I've got to find Jesus. I've got to go find him. So I got rides everywhere I could go to different churches. And if I walk in a church and I didn't feel the presence of the Holy Spirit, back then I didn't know what it was. If I couldn't see a cross or feel the presence of the Lord, I was out of there. I found a place that I seemed to have a good feeling about, and I went there for a year. And I'd pray, and I'd say, "Where are you, Lord? Let me see you. I've heard a lot about you. I want to see you." So finally I got my year pinned for going to and never missing. Then one day I came home, and I was a young man and kind of ornery, wanted to teach myself how to drive, and I was very good at doing things. So I hot-wired one of my dad's old cars. And I used to take it out and drive it and teach myself how to drive a stick and clean it and wash it, and really took good care of it. One day I came home in the afternoon, it was July, and I figured it was July the 28th. And I won't give the year, but actually it was her birthday, the day she was born. And it was at the place where I grew up. There was a big house in the front, a small house in the rear, and you could walk through a gate in the back and go to a beauty shop area of a garage that the neighbors in the back that we grew up with had a beauty shop. My mom worked in the beauty shop with the neighbor lady. And I came home one day, and bright, sunshiny day, and I leaned down under the dash and was taking the wiring loom off. And as I raised up, treetop high, I was under a tree. Treetop high, standing over my dad's property, was Jesus. Oh, wow. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I get touchy about it. He was standing there and had a robe on. It looked like it was encrusted with jewels of pearl and diamonds. He had cuffs that were gold laid. Had a red sash around his belt area. Looked like the reddest blood you've ever seen. And he was holding a huge book in his left hand. And this book had gold pages. It had a white face. It had scrolling of gold on the front of it. And it was huge. And he was holding it like that, just standing and looking at me. His skin was dark. And he was standing on a little cloud about the size of this table. And his eyes were just deep pools. And I looked at him, and I was down immediately. And I looked back up, and I seeing things, and I barely peeked over that dash, and there he was. This went on for about 15 minutes. And all that time, I had been trained before that if you ever see Jesus, he's come to take you home. So I spent 15 minutes telling him why I didn't want to leave. My parents, my animals, my friends, they all need me. I'm in good health, in good shape. And finally, I made him smile at me 3 times. I didn't see his teeth, but he smiled, and it got bigger. And finally, I looked up, and he was gone. So I knew right then he was real. And I had found out what I was looking for. Well, from that point, I got my driver's license. It seemed like everywhere I went, Satan comes immediately to steal the word. I would come on wrecks, and it'd just be me and them. Maybe people dying, and I'd try to help them and pray over them. It's like, what is this? I was in a car, I saw the Lord. Now I'm in a car, and I see death. This went on and on. So I finally got through that, and I never told anybody about the sight that I'd seen of the Lord, because I didn't want anybody to think that I was going to die. I got into a police career because my mother had passed away. I watched her rot with cancer. Satan took her out. One of the best people you'd ever want to meet in your life. And I got mad at Jesus. One night I hung on a cross at a church. It said, "Take me. Don't take her. Take me." It didn't happen. I said, "Okay, Lord, I've seen you. I've seen death and destruction. You took my mother. Let me know when you need me. See ya." So I got into police work. And I was a Christian, but I got on the street. Dave can tell you what the street's like. I just became one of them. Cuss, fight, drop bad. But I was a good guy, and I got into police work with City of Independence. And then they picked me to go to DEA. So I spent 2 years with their task force. And during that time, I had some real interesting stories. We were working a $10 million drug unit, drug people out of Kansas City. I had to go to Vegas a couple of times with another agent. And the informant I was with was a Cuban. He had a Cuban wife. They were dancers. And this guy, to prove his loyalty to the Colombians and everybody else involved, they murdered a girl, cut her finger off, and left the ring on, and brought the finger with the ring. It's the kind of people you dealt with. And this guy was on our side. Anyway, after that, I had a contract come out of my life, and I met the agent that was it was an ex-DEA agent that went bad. He'd actually stole 7 ounces of pure heroin, shot a guy, killed him. And he brought a Hell's Angel in from California to kill me. Well, I had an older agent with me, and we met kind of like at high noon in a parking lot. And the agent I had trained this other guy that went bad. And I was looking death in the face. You know, "You're here to kill me. It ain't going to happen, dude." So that night, I had another agent supervisor drive me around.